Well, as they can see who's watching it, I feel like I've been in the ring with Tyson. It's been a real hectic time, and we're back now. Obviously, I'm back now, and it's one of the best experiences I've ever had in boxing.
Really? In all the time you've been doing it?
Yeah, it's the best heavyweight fight I've ever seen live.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah.
Yeah. On the build-up to it, why was there no face-off? I was talking to my great friend Kate Abdul last night, who was between the two fighters before the fight took place, the day before. And then Kate was like, okay, a face-off. Bob Arum went into meltdown.
Well, I did as well.
Was it too dangerous to put them together? What happened?
Well, what happened, they do a different format out there. I don't like this format of, the fighters sitting either side, and she done a great job. She's doing her job.
Brilliant, Kate.
What I prefer is that you actually got the everybody on the table, because they bounce off each other, and you've got somebody in between it. I mean, if that all went off, even while she said, what's she going to do if she's in the middle? And I'm not saying like if it's me or Bob Arum in the middle, but at least there's somebody who can temper it a bit. And it was agreed, according to what between the two camps, there wouldn't be one.
Yeah.
And Fox TV, because they produced it this time, because the last fight was produced by ESPN, they basically took over and said, they tried to get the face-off on. And it was just before that, they were getting quite animated. There was a lot of backwards and forwards between them. And I've been around the sport long enough to see when two guys are getting really het up and hotted up, and then we both knew. And I sort of nudged him, and we jumped up at the same time. But Bob's obviously shouts louder than I do, and we said just stop that. We don't.
I mean, Tyson was up for it.
Well, of course he was, but there's going to be nobody in the middle of them. They're up on a stage. You only need a little shove. Somebody goes off the stage, and you haven't got a fight.
It could have kicked off.
They should have learned from a couple of weeks before, where you had Canelo and Caleb Plant. Same thing happened, and one of them got cut.
Yeah.
So
build up to fight weeks as well. Both boxers are going to be edgy as well, and it's like it's not just going to be a little slap, is it? It's sort of going to turn into a full blown tear up, and you don't need that before the fight.
The fight was so good, Frank. Mr. Jordan here has watched it 6 times.
I have. Yes.
6 times since.
Absolutely. Because when you watch it the first time, man, you're emotionally invested. You know what's going to happen. When you watch it there and afterwards, you know what's going to happen, and you can study it more, can't you?
Yeah. Well, you're not on the live. It's just evolving in front of you. Sitting back, you've got the benefit of having seen it, and you notice other things in the fight as well. But it was just the most dramatic fight I've seen, and it's up there with all of those. I mean, Tyson Fury is a modern day great. He is the best of his generation. He's done everything that's been asked of him. He's done something that no other boxer's done, and that's to win the titles and defend the title in the other guy's backyard.
Yeah.
In different countries.
But yet, when he was on the canvas, did you, Mr. Warren, think, here we go?
Yeah, of course. When he went down, I mean, the guy, whatever you thought about it, you knew that there was going to be that he can punch. He's a danger. And I said before the fight, the only chance he's got for me, he's never going to outbox Tyson. He's not got the hand speed, and he's not got the boxing brain to outbeat him, to beat him. But if he takes the fight out there, it'll be a shootout. And the first round, he was very intelligent. He came out and he was throwing these shots to the body. He was jabbing to the body. He's obviously looking for Tyson to drop his hand so he can whiz that right hand over, but Tyson didn't. And then that's what it became, a shootout. It was who's the toughest guy here? There were times there was some skills in there from Tyson when he got behind his jabs, and there was other times where he leaned on him, he negated him. There was other times where it was just like, I'm the toughest guy here.
Yeah.
It had everything, and it was drama, but it takes 2 people to do that.
Yeah, sure.
Tyson did all what he had to do. He was, at the end of the day, his will to win, got him through it all. But also, you've got to look at what Wilder brought to it, and he brought to it raw, brutal, brute force and energy, and he was there. I mean, the last couple of rounds, he was like, if he was a car, he was on fumes. It was the fumes. He'd run out of petrol, but he was still trying to throw that right hand.
Did he reconcile at all with Fury? No. As you left the T-Mobile, there was nothing like that.
No,
he just didn't want to know.
He didn't want to know. It's a bit like for me. It's a bit like Frazier and Ali. Joe Frazier never ever forgave Muhammad Ali. Now, I mean, I brought him over in the sort of early 90s. I brought him over. Him, George Foreman, and Frazier. They did when they were promoting their video, and we did it at London Arena, and he just didn't want to be there. Joe Frazier just wouldn't even acknowledge him really then. It was like all done under duress. He's obviously getting paid a lot of money to do this, to be over there, but he didn't want to know.
Do you think that Wilder will change his views on that? Because I thought it was just a heat of the moment type of thing, and I thought, you know what, after he's had a couple of days to digest it and he's seen what they both went through, because we were talking about this boxers having that the ultimate gladiatorial sport, and they get that mutual respect at the end and all that. I know Deontay Wilder's a funny character, but do you think that when he looks back on it, he may, embrace with Tyson Fury?
Well, I hope he does, because he was the other half of a great fight. Probably, as I said, one of the best heavyweight fight I've seen live. He without a doubt, but he was a bad loser in the fight before. He had to come up with 20 different excuses why he lost.
See, I thought, Frank, and I'm going to be not deliberately controversial, but I thought Tyson was a little bit selective in what he allowed the cameras to hear that he actually said to Wilder, because I thought he went over to Wilder. I've tried to watch it 4 or 5 times, and I think he went over and said, "Admit I'm the better fighter than you." I think that was his opening line. So what he said was, I wished him good luck and said, "Well done, what a great fight it was." But I thought Tyson had gone over to him and said, "I'm a better fighter than you now, admit it."
I don't know whether he did say that, and I can imagine maybe he would have said that, but he did go over.
And that's why you got the reaction then from Wilder.
Well, he didn't even get a reaction, did he? He just
what would you do if you just got beaten up in a big fight, and someone comes over and reminds you that you're
well, listen, what other sport do you get where boxers? I mean, Spencer's done it. A fighter's had a grueling fight, and suddenly he's got a microphone stuck under his nose. No other sportsmen, footballers and whatever they are, can all go back to the dressing room, compose themselves. True. Boxers, it's raw, it's emotion, it's there.
Absolutely. But it was what they've both been through as well. I mean, he took a terrible pounding from about round 7 onwards. I mean, you've got to give the guy credit for it. And you're right, it takes 2 to tango, and it takes 2 great dance partners to make a great fight. But, oh man, what he went through, Wilder, to get to that 11th round was insane.
It was his will to still be in there. I mean, they were two. That is. They are modern day gladiators, and that was what it was. They were in the Colosseum, and they were. I mean, they were just. It was absolutely took all the energy out of everybody in the room. Everybody was cheering like you can't believe, and Tyson was getting the bigger cheers in that, which he won that American audience over. Yeah, can you imagine how it'd have been if we'd had the Brits over? No Brits there. I mean, it was just.
Talk us through it, Frank. Backstage, if you like. Then all the limos are appearing, and everybody disappears off into the night. And then we see in social media Tyson in some nightclub in a rave with a microphone in his hand. How did that work out? Where were you, Mr. Warren? That's basically what I'm asking you.
I was. They tucked me up in bed, gave me some cocoa, and said, get rid of the old geezer.
Yeah, sure.
I stayed. I don't like staying at the casino, so I stayed at the Waldorf Astoria. So we was back in the bar. I will admit we had some champagne and we had a late night, but it was more. I wasn't. There weren't a shout going out or anything like that.
Was it an all-nighter for Tyson?
Yeah, they went on quite, and they was out and had a pool party the next day. But I was on the plane. I come home the next day. I got out of that. Look, the work was done, and he was entitled to go and enjoy himself, and he did enjoy himself. And him and his wife Paris, she came out, and they've gone through a lot. Besides the fight, they had that terrible time with the child, baby daughter, Athena. Yes. She was in intensive care twice. So that was a worry, and obviously that stops his preparations, and quite rightly so.
Is Tyson a megastar now in the US?
Yeah, he's a megastar in the world. The heavyweight champion of the world is always the biggest star on the planet. I've always said that. You go to Ali, Frazier, you go back to Dempsey, Mike Tyson, you go through them all. He has reached that. You see all the foreign radio and TV stations out there afterwards, who took the fight, trying to get interviews. It's amazing. He's a mega star.
I think this fight's taken him to another level, though, hasn't it? This particular fight and what happened, the drama that was happening in the fight, the build-up to the fight, with both guys going through what they've been through, like they were on totally different missions. They've been on totally different journeys, and I think that Tyson, people were thinking this is a closer fight than we originally thought, because Tyson Fury had such a roller coaster in the build-up, and the fight itself was such an unbelievable fight. I think that's why it's catapulted him to another level.
Well, he did. I mean, he jumped a level in the fight before. But when you think about it, is that here's a guy that's totally evolved. Yeah. When he fought Klitschko, he fought on the back foot. It's because he's got the most amazing boxing brain, and took him to school. And Klitschko was the best of his generation. Yeah. And he beat him. Then after that, he's nearly 3 years out of the ring. He comes back, takes a fight that which I sort of fall through. That everyone thought he was the underdog and he'd lose. He was an underdog against Klitschko. He's an underdog in the rematch with Wilder, and this is the first time he's been a favourite.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.